You made a nice pot of rice yesterday. You reheated some for lunch. Now there's still a little left, so you figure you'll just warm it up again for dinner. Sounds perfectly normal, right? Sounds like something you've done 100 times before. Well, what if I told you that simple, everyday habit, reheating certain leftovers more than once, could be quietly fueling dangerous inflammation inside your body? And according to several doctors and researchers, some of these reheated foods may even be connected to increased risks of pancreatic problems, including concerns about pancreatic cancer. Today, we're going to walk through 5 common foods that doctors are now warning you should never, ever reheat twice. And number 3 on this list? It shocked me. If you're over 60, please do not skip this video. Welcome back to the channel. And if you're new here, welcome to a community that believes taking care of your health should be simple, clear, and honest. We create content specifically for adults over 60 and for the families who love them, because you deserve health information that's easy to understand and actually useful in your daily life. Now, let's talk about leftovers. Leftovers are a way of life for many of us, especially if you're living alone, cooking for 1 or 2 people, or simply trying to be smart with your grocery budget. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. Eating leftovers is practical. It reduces waste. It saves time and money. But here's where things get tricky. Not all foods behave the same way when you reheat them. Some foods, when cooled down and then warmed up again, especially more than once, go through chemical and biological changes that most people have no idea about. These changes can produce harmful bacteria that survive the reheating process. They can create toxic compounds that trigger inflammation. And in some cases, they can generate substances that researchers are now studying in connection with serious diseases, including concerns about the pancreas. Now, why does this matter more for people over 60? It's simple. As we age, our immune systems naturally weaken. Our digestive systems become more sensitive. Our bodies don't fight off bacteria and toxins as efficiently as they once did. What might cause mild discomfort in a 30-year-old could send a 70-year-old to the emergency room. And chronic, low-grade inflammation, the kind that builds up silently over months and years, is now recognized by the medical community as one of the root drivers of nearly every major age-related disease, from heart disease to diabetes to certain cancers. So the stakes are real. And the good news is, once you know which foods to be careful with, protecting yourself is incredibly easy. Let me walk you through all 5 foods right now. Let's start with the one that surprises almost everybody. Cooked rice. Yes, rice. That simple, humble side dish sitting in your refrigerator right now. Rice is one of the most commonly reheated foods in the world, and it's also one of the most dangerous when handled incorrectly. Here's what most people don't know. Uncooked rice often contains spores of a bacterium called Bacillus cereus. Now, don't worry about the fancy name. Just think of it as a tiny, tough little germ that lives on raw rice grains. When you cook rice the first time, the heat kills most active bacteria, and that's fine. The rice is safe to eat. But here's the catch. Those spores, think of them as little protective shells around the bacteria, can actually survive the cooking process. And once the rice cools down, especially if it sits at room temperature for more than an hour or 2, those spores wake up, start multiplying, and produce toxins. These toxins are heat resistant. That means when you reheat the rice, the toxins don't go away. They stay right there in your food. Now, if you reheat that rice once and eat it all, you'll probably be okay, as long as it was stored properly in the refrigerator. But if you reheat it, let it cool again, put it back in the fridge, and then reheat it a second time, you're giving those bacteria multiple opportunities to multiply and produce even more toxins. Each cooling and reheating cycle is like opening the door wider and wider for trouble. For older adults, the consequences can be serious. We're talking about severe nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and abdominal cramping. For a senior who may already be dealing with dehydration issues, taking medications, or managing a chronic condition, a bad bout of food poisoning from reheated rice could land you in the hospital. But there's another layer to this. Researchers have been studying how repeated exposure to bacterial toxins in food contributes to chronic gut inflammation. And chronic gut inflammation doesn't just stay in your gut. It sends inflammatory signals throughout your entire body. Over time, this kind of systemic inflammation has been linked to increased risks for multiple diseases, including concerns about the pancreas. So here's the practical advice. When you cook rice, Only reheat the portion you plan to eat. One reheat. That's it. Whatever you don't eat after that first reheat, let it go. It's not worth the risk. And always refrigerate leftover rice within 1 hour of cooking. Don't leave it sitting on the counter. Food number 2 is chicken and other poultry like turkey and duck. Now, I know what you might be thinking. Chicken is probably the most commonly reheated food in American households. Leftover roasted chicken, grilled chicken breast, chicken soup, turkey after Thanksgiving. We've all done it. And again, reheating chicken once, when it's been stored properly, is generally fine. But reheating chicken twice? That's where doctors draw the line. Here's the science behind it. Chicken is a protein-dense food. Proteins are made up of complex molecular structures, and every time you heat and cool a protein, those structures break down and change. When you reheat chicken the second time, the protein composition degrades significantly, making it much harder for your body to digest. For seniors with already slowing digestive systems, this can cause bloating, stomach discomfort, and intestinal distress. But digestibility is only part of the problem. Chicken is also extremely susceptible to bacterial contamination, particularly from Salmonella and Campylobacter. These bacteria can multiply rapidly during the cooling phase between reheats. And here's something many people don't realize. When you reheat food in a microwave, the heating is often uneven. There can be cold spots in the middle of your chicken where bacteria survive and thrive, even though the outside feels piping hot. For a young person with a robust immune system, their body might fight off a small amount of these bacteria without them ever knowing. But for someone over 60, especially someone over 75, the consequences can be severe. Foodborne illness from improperly reheated poultry is one of the leading causes of hospitalization among elderly Americans. And let's connect this to the bigger picture. When your gut is repeatedly exposed to harmful bacteria and degraded proteins, it triggers an inflammatory immune response. Your body goes into defense mode. White blood cells rush to the area. Inflammatory chemicals called cytokines flood your system. When this happens occasionally, your body recovers. But when it happens regularly, meal after meal, week after week, that inflammation becomes chronic. And chronic inflammation is exactly the kind of biological environment where serious diseases can take root. Research published in several gastroenterology journals has explored how chronic inflammation in the digestive tract can affect the pancreas, given its close proximity and shared biological pathways. While no single food is going to cause pancreatic cancer on its own, doctors emphasize that reducing unnecessary sources of inflammation is one of the smartest things you can do to protect yourself. Practical tip: cook chicken in smaller portions. If you know you won't eat it all in one sitting, divide it into individual servings before refrigerating. That way, you only reheat what you need once, and the rest stays safely stored. Now, before we get to food number 3, which is one that genuinely caught me off guard, I want to pause for just a moment. If you're over 60, or if you're watching this because you care for an elderly parent, grandparent, or loved one, this information could genuinely make a difference in their health and safety. Most of us were never taught these things. We grew up in a generation where wasting food was unthinkable, and reheating leftovers was just what you did. There's no shame in that. But now we have better science, and we know more about what happens inside our bodies when we handle food certain ways. So please, if this video is helping you, take a moment right now to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you never miss a video like this. And if someone you love needs to hear this, share this video with them. It takes 2 seconds, and it could save them a lot of suffering. Alright, let's continue. Food number 3 is mushrooms. And this is the one that surprised me the most. Mushrooms are widely considered a health food. They're packed with antioxidants, vitamins, minerals, and unique compounds that support immune function. Many health experts regularly recommend mushrooms as part of a healthy diet for seniors. So what's the problem? The problem is specifically with reheating them more than once. Mushrooms contain proteins that are unusually delicate compared to other foods. When mushrooms are cooked, cooled, and then reheated, those proteins begin to deteriorate in ways that can create digestive problems and inflammatory responses. But the bigger concern is what happens to certain nitrogen compounds in mushrooms during repeated heating cycles. The European Food Information Council has specifically warned that mushrooms should ideally be eaten right after preparation. If they must be stored, They should be refrigerated immediately and reheated only once, to a temperature of at least 158 degrees Fahrenheit or 70 degrees Celsius. When mushrooms go through multiple reheat cycles, the breakdown of their proteins can produce compounds that irritate the lining of the stomach and intestines. For older adults who may already have thinner, more sensitive gut linings, a natural part of aging, this irritation can trigger inflammatory responses that compound over time. And here's the part that connects to our broader topic. Some preliminary research has explored how certain nitrogen containing compounds, when altered by repeated heating, may act as mild carcinogens, substances that can contribute to cancer development over long periods of exposure. Now, I want to be very clear and responsible here. No single study has conclusively proven that reheating mushrooms causes cancer. But the pattern of evidence suggests that minimizing your exposure to these altered compounds is a wise and precautionary choice, especially as you get older and your body's ability to repair cellular damage naturally decreases. My advice: enjoy mushrooms fresh. Cook what you'll eat. If you have leftovers, eat them cold in a salad the next day, or reheat them once and only once. It's a small adjustment that takes virtually no effort, but could have meaningful long-term benefits for your health. Food number 4 is one that's sitting in almost every kitchen in America right now. Potatoes. Baked potatoes, mashed potatoes, roasted potatoes, potato soup. Potatoes are a staple. They're affordable, filling, comforting, and versatile. But when it comes to reheating, potatoes have a hidden problem that very few people know about. When potatoes are cooked and then allowed to cool, something interesting happens to the starch inside them. The starch undergoes a process called retrogradation, just a fancy way of saying the starch molecules rearrange themselves into a different structure. This creates what scientists call resistant starch. Now, in small amounts, resistant starch can actually be beneficial for gut health. But here's where it gets complicated. When potatoes cool at room temperature, especially if they're left out for several hours, which happens more often than people admit, they become a breeding ground for a bacterium called Clostridium botulinum. Yes, the same bacterium responsible for botulism. Potatoes that have been wrapped in aluminum foil are particularly dangerous because the foil creates an oxygen-free environment where this bacterium thrives. Now, if you take that potato, refrigerate it, and reheat it once, the risk is manageable, especially if you reheat it thoroughly. But if you reheat it, let it cool again, and reheat it a second time, you're compounding the bacterial risk with each cycle. And for seniors whose immune systems are already compromised, this is genuinely dangerous territory. But there's another concern beyond bacteria. Each time you reheat starchy foods like potatoes, there's a possibility of forming increased levels of a compound called acrylamide, especially if the potatoes are reheated at high temperatures or develop browned, crispy edges. Acrylamide is classified by the International Agency for Research on Cancer as a probable human carcinogen. And while the amounts formed in a single serving of reheated potatoes are small, the cumulative effect of repeated exposure over months and years is what concerns researchers, particularly regarding organs like the pancreas that are involved in processing the metabolic byproducts of digestion. Practical tip here: make only what you need. If you have leftover baked or roasted potatoes, store them in the refrigerator immediately, no foil wrapping, and reheat them once within 24 to 48 hours. After that, it's time to let them go. Many seniors I've spoken with tell me, "But I hate wasting food." And I completely understand that. I respect it deeply. But I always ask them this question in return: what's more costly, throwing away a leftover potato or spending 3 days in a hospital bed? When you put it that way, the choice becomes easy. And finally, food number 5, and this one is particularly important: spinach and other nitrate-rich leafy greens like kale, celery, and beets when used in cooked dishes. Now, fresh spinach is one of the healthiest foods on the planet. It's loaded with iron, calcium, vitamins A and K, folate, and powerful antioxidants. Doctors recommend it all the time. But cooked spinach that gets reheated, especially more than once, tells a very different story. Here's the key concern. Spinach is naturally very high in nitrates. Nitrates themselves are not harmful. In fact, they're found in many vegetables and can even have cardiovascular benefits. But when cooked spinach sits at certain temperatures and is then reheated, bacteria in the food can convert those harmless nitrates into nitrites. And nitrites, under certain conditions, can be further converted into compounds called nitrosamines. Nitrosamines are well-established carcinogens. They have been extensively studied and linked to increased risks of several cancers, including gastric cancer and, yes, pancreatic cancer. The World Health Organization and numerous research institutions have flagged nitrosamines as substances of serious concern. For seniors, this risk is amplified for several reasons. First, older adults often have lower stomach acid levels, which changes the way nitrites behave in the digestive system and can actually increase the conversion to nitrosamines. Second, the aging body's DNA repair mechanisms are slower and less efficient, meaning that exposure to carcinogenic compounds has a greater potential for lasting damage. Third, many seniors are already dealing with chronic inflammation from other conditions, and adding another source of inflammatory stress is simply unnecessary. Does this mean you should stop eating spinach? Absolutely not. Fresh spinach and even once cooked spinach are wonderful for you. The warning is specifically about reheating cooked spinach multiple times. So here's what you should do. If you make a spinach dish, whether it's sautéed spinach, spinach in a soup, or spinach in a casserole, divide it into single serving portions before you store it. Refrigerate it immediately. When you're ready to eat, take out one portion, reheat it once, and enjoy. Never put reheated spinach back in the fridge to be heated again later. And if you love spinach salads, that's actually the safest way to enjoy it. Raw spinach doesn't go through these chemical transformations, so eat all the fresh spinach salads your heart desires. Alright, let's bring everything together with a clear, easy to remember summary and some general safety rules for handling leftovers. The 5 foods to never reheat twice are as follows. Number 1. Cooked rice, because of Bacillus cereus spores and heat-resistant toxins. Number 2. Chicken and poultry, because of protein degradation and bacterial contamination risks. Number 3. Mushrooms, because of delicate protein structures that break down into potentially harmful compounds. Number 4. Potatoes, because of Clostridium botulinum risk and acrylamide formation. Number 5. Spinach and nitrate-rich leafy greens, because of the conversion of nitrates to nitrites and potentially carcinogenic nitrosamines. Now, here are your golden rules for leftover safety that every senior and every caregiver should follow. Rule 1. Refrigerate leftovers within 1 hour of cooking. Don't let food sit on the counter and slowly cool. Get it into the refrigerator quickly. Rule 2. Store leftovers in small, individual portions. This way, you only take out and reheat exactly what you're going to eat. Rule 3. Only reheat food once. This is the single most important takeaway from today's video. One reheat, then it's done. Rule 4. When reheating, make sure the food reaches an internal temperature of at least 165 degrees Fahrenheit or 74 degrees Celsius. Use a food thermometer if you can. They're inexpensive and incredibly helpful. Rule 5. When in doubt, throw it out. I know that's hard to hear, but no leftover is worth your health. Your well-being is more valuable than any amount of food savings. Rule 6. Pay attention to how food smells and looks before reheating. If something seems off, an unusual odor, a slimy texture, any discoloration, trust your instincts and discard it. And one more important point. If you've been reheating these foods multiple times for years and you're feeling fine, that's genuinely good news. This isn't about creating panic. It's about awareness. It's about making small, easy adjustments going forward that reduce your long-term risk. Every positive change you make today is an investment in your health tomorrow. As I wrap up today's video, I want to speak directly to you for a moment. If you're in your 60s, 70s, 80s, or beyond, I want you to know something. You have spent a lifetime taking care of other people. You raised families. You worked hard. You sacrificed. You put others first more times than anyone will ever know. And now, in this chapter of your life, I'm asking you to put yourself first when it comes to your health. These small changes, how you store your food, how many times you reheat a meal, they might seem insignificant, but they're not. They are acts of self-care. They are ways of telling your body, I still care about you. I still want to protect you. I'm still paying attention. Inflammation and disease don't announce themselves with a loud alarm. They build quietly, invisibly, over time. But the power to reduce your risk, that's in your hands. It's in your kitchen. It's in the simple decision to reheat that chicken only once, to throw away that 2-day-old rice, to enjoy your spinach fresh instead of reheated for the third time. You deserve to feel your best. You deserve to enjoy your meals without unknowingly putting yourself at risk. And now, you have the knowledge to do exactly that. If this video helped you today, I would be so grateful if you'd hit the subscribe button. We release new health videos specifically for adults over 60 every single week, and every video is designed to be clear, honest, and genuinely useful. If you have a friend, a spouse, a sibling, or a parent who cooks with leftovers, and let's be honest, that's just about everyone, please share this video with them. You could be helping them avoid a health problem they never saw coming. And I'd love to hear from you in the comments. Tell me, which of these 5 foods surprised you the most? Have you been reheating any of these foods more than once? There's no judgment here, only a community of people looking out for each other. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you for trusting me with your time. And most importantly, thank you for caring enough about your health to keep learning. Take care of yourself. You are worth it. And I'll see you in the next video.